Jig of the day. Standard Craw. Black, brown, orange, little hint of copper. I'm going to show you how to tie this. Ready to run a gun? It's time for blast off. Let's go. Hey guys, Todd here with you. Welcome back to Bassin 101. Very first tie in the jig series. Standard crawfish. Black, brown, orange. Doesn't get simpler than that. One of the things I want to mention when I'm tying these dudes is I use black in every single pattern I do. The reason is I'm using a black head and a black weed guard. I just kind of want that to blend in, when I'm using the weed guard. Other than that, but black is a great pattern color for anything in a jig, to be honest with you. So I have no issues with that. But I'm going to show you how I tie this dude. It's kind of interesting when you're using rubber, because I like to layer it to where nothing is bold. So let's go to the tying table. Okay guys, we're going to start off with a standard crawl, which is just a brown-orange kind of pattern, nothing fancy. Word of note here, on these recipes, since I have a black head and a black weed guard, I have black strands in every pattern. Just 10, unless it calls for something else. So the recipe for this jig is 10 strands of black, 10 strands of orange, 25 strands of brown, 6 strands of copper. That's tinsel, just standard tying tinsel. I like it because it's limber. Now, one thing I want to show y'all is I do what's called I call it a skip tie. And what I have done is I have taken the center of these tabs and pulled them apart. It's a little tedious. You kind of have to sit here and pull them, but the ends are still intact. The reason I do this is because rather than having your rubber tied off in one area on a jig, since rubber's bold and there's nothing, no metal flake, no nothing to break it up, I separate it right here so that it will tend to skip around the collar, and it allows you to layer the colors better. It looks a lot more natural. I don't like a very bold type jig. The jigs I showed you in the introductory video, after watching them on video, I didn't like the way they looked, so I had to reformulate everything a little bit, but it's okay. This is still a 45 strand pattern. Blue painter's tape. I go behind the weed guard. I pull it forward. And tape off around the head. Make sure it's good and tight around that head. I know some of you guys are probably going to look at this and go, man, he's going to run that weed guard. It don't hurt it, especially if you don't spend more than 5 minutes or so doing a jig. It doesn't hurt it. I'm going to start off with just a touch of Loctite super glue. You can get it at Walmart, hardware stores. Now the thread I'm using is 210 Danville. I use black for everything because it doesn't matter, because you're putting, I don't like a rubber collar because it dry rots. Black will just kind of fit in everything, and I like a very small area of thread anyway. I don't like a big tight collar. Now what I'll do is I'll split this down the middle here. I'm going even on both ends. I'm going to get that black set in there. Now the black, I actually did kind of keep that around the top, just like that. because it kind of helps to hide that weed guard a little bit. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to come in from the bottom and do this, is the brown. And I will take this and I will pinch it around. The advantage to the skip cut, I'm not going to tighten this yet. The advantage to the skip cut, as you can see, it allows this brown to go all the way around the jig and just kind of scatters it. You know, 25 strands are not supposed to go all the way around the collar of a jig, especially as a secondary color. But this does really good. And it can move anywhere it wants because it's covering the whole entire jig. The reason I do a skip cut is because I don't like bold colors, especially bright colors, just jumping out at you like the orange did on that opening video. I did not like that. I was like, oh my gosh, it doesn't look like that in person, but look at it on video. I like to hide my brighter colors inside the skirt. And you see how I press that down, it kind of molds itself around the skirt. It's not just in one particular area. But yet, the tabs are still intact, so it's not dancing around the place on me. And I can kind of move it around some. See how I do that? You don't have to have it just in one area. Now I'll tighten this down a little bit, make sure it's not going to shift on me much. That's another reason I can't emphasize it more, guys, about putting a very small section or a very small piece of super glue on that initial thread tie, because it keeps the skirt from rotating around, especially as you're tying it. And now on the bottom, just the bottom, I'm going to put my tinsel. And again, this is not tied in one general area. I keep it on the bottom. I don't mind if it spreads out just a little bit at the bottom. It doesn't bother me a bit. As you can see, I've kept my threading tight. It's not all over the place. I'm actually putting some pressure on this so it'll stay tight. Now, next step. Sally Hansen's Clear No Chip. This is the stuff right here to put a final coat on your tying. You can't beat it. And then what I do, once I get all that cleared out, I go ahead and do a couple of whip knots, because the whip knot will actually sink into the nail polish and finish it off. And I've never had a jig skirt come loose, whether it's silicone, hair, doesn't matter. I've never had an issue with it. Okay, now we will relieve the pressure off of the weed guard. As you can see, it didn't hurt a bit. Look at that. So what I'm saying, as long as you stay fast with this stuff, you're okay. Now the next thing to do, I'm going to cut off these taped, I just use painter's tape, taped ends off the flash. And now, it's easier if you split these larger tabs in half. Put some pressure on it and slowly cut them. It didn't quite do what I wanted it to do. I got some goopies in there. For some reason this brown material I have seems to do this a little bit. The other colors don't do it. Just the brown. Alright, let's try this one. See, kind of got caught right there. Hit it again. Just this brown. Don't know what the deal is. It's fine. Just doesn't want to separate that well. Pretty sure that's all I had there. There's another one right there. There's another one. I'm sure you guys are looking at it on camera going, there's one right there, man, there's one right there. Because I do it when I watch somebody try to. Alright. It helps if you have a little bit of fingernails. And figure picker guitar players always have a little bit of fingernail, so. Watch, this black's gonna do perfect. See? That orange kind of did it right there some too. You don't want to do everything and then try to find each individual strand and try to break it back down. Go ahead and break it down while you got it. Go ahead and separate them. I think that's all I saw. Alright, now for the brown. Hopefully. Actually didn't seem like it was too bad. Kind of comb around here trying to find. Also doesn't hurt to kind of pull around a little bit. I think we're pretty good. That looks good. Alright, like I was telling you guys about soaking this stuff in alcohol. You see what that's done. Now you always want to have a comb attached to thread nearby. So you can kind of comb some of this stuff out, and if there's any tangles, you'll get them out of there. Now, you can leave this jig just like this, or you can trim it down. Now you see the difference in this than the first one I showed in the opening video. The orange is not bold, it's actually hidden inside the skirt. I like that so much better, and that comes from skip tying. That comes from opening up your strands in the center, leaving the tabs intact at the ends, and allows you to lay stuff down. Now the way I cut this, sorry about that, King Kirby being a little reckless over there. If you take a potato chip clip, just like this, you can kind of move the skirts around a little bit. I will evenly cut roughly 3/4 of an inch below the hook. Then, starting from the center, I will work up an angle all the way to the hook, to the bend of the hook, even across. And you can always spin it around to the other side the exact same way. And you can see it leaves a V-notch. Now, alright, so using a little chip clip, we have a nice fluffy skirt. Notice it's not sticking straight out. I'll put a picture right here to show you what these did look like before I soaked these skirts in alcohol, or the skirt material in alcohol. You see a very small little shine of copper right there, and it's just on the bottom. But that right there to me is a good bulky type skirt. You got a nice umbrella effect here, top and the bottom. Give it kind of a chewed up look, and it will do, for me, it will do a zoom super chunk just perfectly like that. It'll do it every time. But that's the important part, is you get that angle cut through here. I see one little straggler right there. But I like some hanging behind the hook right here because it works really well with that trailer. And believe it or not, with a little bit longer skirt, it actually makes it more compact with a trailer. The shorter your skirt, the longer trailer you have, the more bulk and length it looks in the water. The little bit more skirt you have hanging over your trailer, the found tied right there, the little bit bulkier that you have behind the hook, like I said, about 3/4 of an inch, and it puts the trailer about here. It just makes it more compact, I think. But there you go. There's your standard crawl. Well, what'd you think? Black, brown, orange crawl, I call it standard crawl. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. And man, you can use all different colored trailers on this thing. It's up to your imagination. Now, this is different than what I showed you in the opening introductory video, because I got to looking back at that and realize, man, that's really bold. I don't like that. That has the boldness. When you skip tie it, and you put all these different colors around the rainbow here, basically, but you tie your bright colors on the inside of the skirt, that really makes it look a lot better. So yeah, on camera, that definitely looks a whole lot better. I like that. I'll throw that all day long. Good springtime color. Good all around year color. It's just your choice, up to you. I hope you enjoyed this, guys. Oh, one thing I wanted to point out. Remember I mentioned before you soak these, they have a tendency to stick out. I'm going to put a picture right here and show you what it looks like before you soak them in alcohol. See what I mean? That doesn't look good. So that looks a lot better. Everything's laying down. It's a lot more springer. And then when it sits on the bottom like this, all those legs will just open right up and just float right there. So that's a really good deal. Until the next tie, guys, may the Father bless you and keep you in Yeshua's name. And as always, fish on.